We welcome you into Lincoln High School for the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship Playoffs. The opening round with eyes set on Child Center coming up next week at the OSAA State Tournament. The Lincoln Cardinals, the number 4 ranked team in the state, hosting the number 28 ranked David Douglas Scots. Thanks for being with us on Oregon Sports Beat. Along with our crew, I'm Ryan Goff. And this is a long time coming for the Lincoln Cardinals. This is a team that has had its sights set on Child Center since the season began a long time ago. And so far through 25 games, the Cardinals have been pretty successful. 21-4 overall, 15-1 out of the Portland Interscholastic League, the PIL champions, come into this contest having to win 2 games to make it to the final site tournament. We'll contextualize that for you throughout the course of the evening because this is a Lincoln school that won the first ever state championship, and now we'll see if they can get back to win their first since the 50s. Meanwhile, David Douglas is 10-14 overall, 3-11 out of the Mount Hood Conference. And there are a bunch of teams out of the Mount Hood Conference among the top 10 in the state, so David Douglas is no stranger to going up against teams like that of Lincoln. 3-11 overall, the 7th team out of the Mount Hood Conference, and the 28th ranked team to make it into the field of 32. They'll go out of the starting lineup. Carlin's Austin, a 5'11 senior, gets the start, wears number 3 for David Douglas, along with Micah Chadwick, 6'1 senior, wears number 4 for the Scots. You have D'Amico Nobles, 6'2 senior. There's number 14, 6'2 senior, gets the start tonight for David Douglas, along with David Alderton, 6'3 senior, wears number 13. And number 22, Drew Satterthwaite, 6'4 senior, and has a bulk of the challenge to get points on the board for Chad Reeves in his 19th year as the head coach of David Douglas. And this is a team that has a lot of familial feel, a family feel, literally among the figurative family that you build in athletics, just like Lincoln does, and we'll introduce you to that throughout the course of tonight's game. For Lincoln, the Cardinals go with Blake Johnson, 5'11 senior, wears number 3. For the Cardinals, 5'11 senior can hit the 3-point shots, and they will likely need Johnson tonight to hit some of those shots based on what David Douglas is hoping to accomplish. But then you look at the PIL Player of the Year this year, and the last 2 years an all-league first-team selection. And Moroni Seeley Roberts, a 6'6 senior who averages 20 points per game. Jimmy McCartan also gets the start, 6'3 senior, Portland Interscholastic League honorable mention. McCartan wears number 13, and Graham Eikenberry has been familiar coming off the bench, also gets the start tonight, 6'10 senior, second-team all-league selection, wears number 45. To go with Malachi Seeley Roberts, 6'8 senior, and like his brother, Moroni averages 20 points per game and is a twice over last 2 years first team all-league selection. Lincoln in white on the home floor. They've put up as many as 93 points in the game this year with red numbers and almost the opposite palette with a gray-red accent Scots across the chest. David Douglas goes to work on defense. Opening tip controlled by Lincoln, going to the left side hoop, and the Scots come up with an early takeaway. They go to the far side. Chadwick to the top, 3-ball on the way, scoots out, and the rebound pulled down by Lincoln off the miss from Austin. Just underway, thanks for being with us on Oregon Sports Beat. 30 seconds gone by, cross-court pass to Johnson, the shooter. You have the high-low game that's worked so well for Lincoln this year. Johnson open out of the corner and just a bit strong. Scots in transition, feed ahead, Nobles. Defended nicely, comes up empty. And no one scored yet through nearly the first minute of this first round contest. David Douglas in man-to-man. Pass down low. Good head fake. Up and under. Does not go for Moroni Seeley Roberts. Off David Douglas out of bounds. And underneath Lincoln an inbound. Malachi Seeley Roberts stands 6'8", a senior, inbounds right side of the hoop. Defensively working against Alderton. They whistle before the inbound, and the foul's charged to David Douglas, team first, and the first charged to Austin. 6:58 to play. Neither team has scored. Swap out for Johnson on the inbound. Gets it to the block, gets it right back, right baseline. In and out. Offensive rebound, left side, up and under again. No good for Seeley Roberts. One more try, and in the middle, it's back to David Douglas. Both teams struggling to shoot. Moroni, Seeley Roberts had a chance at that second one. Couldn't get it go. But here's the full court press. Lincoln's been good at it all year. Constant pressure defensively. But a foul called as Johnson used a hip on the far side. Three-person officiating crew. The first foul charge to Lincoln. 6:40 to play. Opening quarter. 0-0 the score.
David Douglas has the ball to the right-hand side. It's too strong. Drive by Johnson. And back to the opposite side goes Lincoln. You have Malachi, Seeley Roberts, the right side. High post pass into the other Seeley Roberts brother. Man-to-man defense from David Douglas have kept things out of the middle pretty well so far. On the road, David Douglas. Moroni, Seeley Roberts kicked it out. Johnson sends it back in. First points. And a 2-0 lead for Lincoln. 5:46 remaining in the opening part of the game. 5:30 to play in the opening quarter. Another steal. David Douglas gets a takeaway underneath and an offensive foul. That one's charged to Moroni, Seeley Roberts. First personal, team second. And a turnover by the Cardinals with 5:32 to go in the opening quarter. The full court pressure applied down by Johnson and McCartan. Broken press, Nobles into front court, cuts to the baseline. Lob shot from the far side and splashed through by Drew Satterthwaite. Ties the game at 2 apiece. Pull up 3 the other side, and Malachi Seeley Roberts makes it a 3-point edge for Lincoln. Just off the top. First 3 ball by either team that's fallen. Trying to get it to the middle. Ahead, Nobles, far side, 3-look. Austin, the equalizer, too strong, skips off to the weak side. And falling down, a foul is called as Moroni Seeley Roberts had the rebound, and the foul is charged to David Douglas. That's the second team foul on the Scots. First in the direction of Nobles. Johnson comes out. First time Jahala Van comes in. 5'9" senior on the floor for Lincoln. 4:49 to play in the opening quarter. Off a 3. Last time up the floor. Feeding the post. Fourth person to touch the ball is Eikenberry through the middle. His own putback won't go. Third try is good. Largest lead of the game for Lincoln halfway through the opening quarter, 7-2. Fourth-ranked team in the state trying to move forward in the state tournament bracket. 3 from the right wing off the mark. Austin could not track down his own miss. And Lincoln likes to transition. That's the thing with the defense and the offense. It's speed both directions. Kick out 3. Moroni, Seeley Roberts missed it. Eikenberry gets another offensive putback. A 7-0 run for Lincoln over the last minute 15. Pass to the left wing, 3 on the way. In and out, doesn't go. Nobles put back down low. Satterthwaite can't get it to fall. Eikenberry working for the defensive board. Up the floor for Lincoln. Van back to the left wing, playing catch in the corner. Now Eikenberry skips it to the right side. Head fake for Lincoln. Back out. Malachi Seeley Roberts drives past the edge of the lane, pulls up from just past 15 feet. And it's an 11-2 lead for Lincoln. 3:30 to go first quarter. The Cardinals on a 9-0 run in the opening quarter. Left side, scoop shot, right hand, left side. Finally stalls out the run. Satterthwaite has both points for David Douglas so far, but the lead is 7. Kick out, Van for 3. A bit shy. Put back. And Moroni, Seeley Roberts gets a turnaround jump shot to equal it to a 9-point lead, 13-4, with 2:58 remaining in the opening quarter. David Douglas trying to keep pace. The home team Lincoln, left elbow airballed on the put up by Alderton. Lincoln up the floor, kick to Van, corner three, skipping off right side, no good. Offensive rebound by McCartan. And a foul out on top. That's the third against David Douglas. That one's charged to Alderton, his first, team third. Eikenberry comes out. First break for Alderton, or make that McCartan rather, for Lincoln. Some changes with Evan Heisler, 6'10 junior, comes out. Or comes in rather. Isaac Margolis is in as well, 5'11 junior. Skip pass right side, Seeley Roberts feeds it down. Only one touch and an offensive foul underneath. That one's against Lincoln. Looked like the initial signal was against Noah Santa Maria, but haven't seen Noah in the game. Might have been against Seeley Roberts. We'll check on that. Backcourt pressure. Lob forwarded ahead. David Douglas made some changes. First chance for Emmanuel Cargabo. Missed it. Offensive putback. That one's off the mark, 10 feet out as well. Pass forward to Van off of his fingertips and out of bounds. Lincoln turns it over right back. 2:06 to go. First quarter, the pace becoming a little more hectic between David Douglas and Lincoln, but a game most 9-point lead for the home team Cardinals. Cargbo skips it to the near side. First time for Lincoln Satterthwaite in the game as well. Stays on the floor with his brother Drew. Coaches on this team, David Douglas, Lincoln, both family members of players on the floor. The head coach, Heather Seeley Roberts, in her second year leading the way for Lincoln. David Douglas has an assistant coach, Tyler Satterthwaite, on the bench. Has been with this team for a long time. David Douglas has had a lot of continuity between its coaching staff. A lengthy possession for the Scots, trailing by 9. First time Omar Kasim has been in as well, 6'1 sophomore. Throws it to the top. Drew Satterthwaite gets some space, right side drive, and a foul is called at the tail end of the lay-in. No good, but free throws coming up for David Douglas. That foul is charged to Evan Heisler. That's the fourth team foul on Lincoln. Minute 14 remaining first quarter, 13-4. And to the free throw line goes Drew Satterthwaite, makes the free throw. David Douglas knew the challenge. They had a win about 3 games ago against 9th-ranked Central Catholic out of the Mount Hood Conference. We mentioned there's 4 teams from the Mount Hood Conference in the top 10 of the state, but David Douglas has gone 1-7 against those teams this year. The only win against Central Catholic, 69-64 back midway in February. Nice pass in transition. Moroni Seeley Roberts is open. Good feed in from Johnson, who's returned for Lincoln. 1 minute to play, and the lead is 10 for the Cardinals, and a turnover by David Douglas up the near side. That was a key for David Douglas coming into tonight, taking care of the basketball, trying to use their possessions much like that last trip up offensively, trying to make sure things developed into a wonderful opportunity as opposed to just a good one, but also limit turnovers up the floor. Did not do that on the last try. Margolis to the right side, bounce pass. Moroni, Seeley Roberts skips it to Johnson. Everything out of the perimeter for Lincoln, trying to go up more than 10. Nice cut through the lane. Moroni, Seeley Roberts. What a drive, and it's 17-5, 12-point lead. This game was tied at 2, and since the 5-minute mark, Lincoln's outscored David Douglas 15-3. Get another steal and a follow. That's good for McCartan. 22 seconds left, and a whistle. Officials get together with 22 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Winner moves on to face either Cleveland or Lake Oswego, currently playing in another first-round game. It's a technical foul called against Lincoln. And sends David Douglas to the free throw line. Lincoln Satterthwaite with his team down 14. First free throw is no good. Right now, Cleveland has a 14-5 lead over Lake Oswego. Possible rematch between Lincoln and Cleveland, a team that beat the Cardinals for their only PIL loss this year. It was interesting, both these teams had opposite results. A big win for David Douglas on the 17th of February, whereas Lincoln lost 62-58 to Cleveland to finish the season 15-1 in the conference. One free throw is good. Possession for David Douglas, trailing by 13 points. Inbound off the fingertips of Kasim, gets it into front court. Lost in the corner, now receives it back. 14 seconds to play in the opening quarter. Lincoln and David Douglas, the first round of the state tournament. 6 seconds left. Back out, Kasim, crossover, drives through, left edge lane, tipped out, heave, three-quarter court shot off the top of the square, and no good. We've reached the end of the first quarter from Lincoln High School, the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship opening round. The Lincoln Cardinals 19, David Douglas Scots 6 on Oregon Sports Beat. A 13-point lead for the home team, Lincoln Cardinals. Started the second quarter over David Douglas. Cardinals had a little bit of a slow start. This team, again, has scored as many as 93 points in a game this year. Even the last 4 games of the regular season put up over 70 points in 3 of those. All wins in that loss, 62-58 to Cleveland. David Douglas has the ball out of the break, and a nice drive right side, falling down. Alderton gets a bucket for David Douglas. First points go to the Scots. 3 from the near corner. That's off the mark from McCartan. And this time David Douglas able to collect a rebound. That's the 5th foul on Lincoln. A lot of offensive rebounds worked well, worked nicely for Lincoln in the opening 8 minutes. Foul charge to McCartan. That's his second. Up the floor, Scots and Gray, kick to the corner, 3, missed by Lincoln. Satterthwaite, putback doesn't go right side. That's Freddie Elliott who's in the game. 6'3" junior, played the final few minutes of the opening quarter, misses a shot early second. Opening minute, floater from the right-hand side, floated up by Malachi Seeley-Roberts. Gives it off to his brother. Moroni for 3, swoops out, no good, dead center, rebound, pull down Lincoln. Satterthwaite. David Douglas has the only points of the second quarter so far, coming in ranked 28th in the state, and stripped away from Lincoln Satterthwaite and turned over. Nice defense as Isaac Margolis on the far side, and Lincoln gets another takeaway. Scots make some changes, bring back in Alderton up top to meet ball handler with Chadwick. Picks up Margolis. Now the top Van skips it to the near side. Malachi Seeley-Roberts for 3, no good. Weak side rebound, pull down, Chadwick feeds it ahead, too far out in front for Alderton. And timeout taken by Lincoln. That's the first timeout, a 30-second timeout taken by the coach of the year in the PIL. Heather Seeley-Roberts, second year coaching this Lincoln Cardinals team. along with her sons, the Seeley Roberts brothers. They had their son trio down at Yamhill. Carleton won the unofficial state championship back in 2020-21 when the schools came together, put on their own season-ending tournament, and now have a chance to win a 6A state championship for Lincoln High School, which would be their first since 1957. Lincoln's had just one state championship appearance since winning 2 titles over 5 or 6 years in the 50s. That was back in 2009 when they lost to Jesuit. But you have to recognize Coach Seeley Roberts and all that she's been able to do for this program, getting recognition as the PIL Coach of the Year, a record-setting accolade as the first woman to win that in OSAA boys basketball. And just as seamless with the way that the Seeley Roberts players work for their mom as players. It's one of those things where you can never recognize which one are Heather's sons if you didn't know any better, right? Just, yes, coach, yes, ma'am, and work together seamlessly with the rest of the team. That's been really impressive this year. Nice little alley-oop try. Good feed down from Eikenberry, but Malachi Seeley Roberts comes up a little empty. In transition, though, another takeaway. Lincoln has been able to get the ball away from David Douglas, but yet to score in the first 2 minutes of the second quarter, and an offensive foul. Moroni Seeley Roberts whistled for the foul. That's the 6th team foul on Lincoln, with the technical actually moves them to their 7th. And that could be the 2nd personal foul on Moroni Seeley Roberts. 5:59 to play. David Douglas trailed by 13 entering the quarter. Has a chance to cut it to single digits. Man-to-man defense from Lincoln as well. David Douglas, right wing three is splashed through. Chadwick gets it to go. First 5 points of the second quarter, all David Douglas. Bounce pass right side, and Seeley Roberts gets the turnaround jump shot on the feed in from Margolis. Nice pass into Moroni. Lob pass to the left side, diagonal. No good by Drew Satterthwaite, who went underneath. Lincoln Satterthwaite puts it up from the right side, and David Douglas comes up empty, trailing by 10. 5:16 to go, second quarter. Bounce pass down low, another great feed. The connection again. Margolis to Moroni Seeley Roberts. Timeout taken, David Douglas. A full timeout from Chad Reeves and the Scots as Lincoln has boosted the lead back to 12 with 5:08 to play in the second quarter. We mentioned Cleveland Lake Oswego. That is the team that meets the winner of this game. That game scheduled to be played on Saturday. Lincoln, the 4th-ranked team in the state. Cleveland hosting Lake Oswego, as the Warriors are the 13th-ranked team in the state. The rest of that bracket has 5th-ranked Gresham, one of those good teams out of the Mount Hood Conference, going up against Sprague. And then you have Southridge against Benson, another PIL team with Benson in the 12-21 matchup. I always like to look at the roster or the bracket maker, to be clear, because you have a chance to see how the state tournament matchups shape up. So whoever comes out of this Saturday's contest between the winner of Cleveland Lake Oswego and Lincoln and David Douglas will meet the winner of either Sprague Gresham and Benson Southridge at the state tournament. The boys bracket starts on Thursday, March 9th, with the girls bracket starting on Wednesday the 8th. So you'll have that game played at 3:15 p.m. at Chiles Center at the University of Portland. It's a really great venue for a state championship tournament, even at the top level of the OSAA, because you have a pretty good setting. That place can get packed well for even the quarterfinals, semifinals, and definitely the state championship game. David Douglas out of its own timeout. Scots work it up the near side. Gray unis for David Douglas, white for Lincoln. Wide open three. Austin does not get it to fall, and then Eikenberry blocked the putback by Drew Satterthwaite. Underneath for David Douglas, trailing 23-11. The lead has been as many as 14. Fan is out. Johnson returns for Lincoln. And there's a great contrast, too, in this matchup but specifically in the quest for a state championship for Lincoln, you have this brand new school that opened this year. Kick out to the near side. McCartan off the mark for 3. Make that Alderton a miss for David Douglas. But on the floor, on this brand new floor, established 1869. It shows you just how rooted in PIL history this Lincoln High School team is. Eikenberry again tips the rebound to himself and makes it a 14-point game again, 25-11. David Douglas has handled the pressure a little bit better full court. Throw to the top, 3 on the way. That's buried through. Nobles gets it to go. 25-14. Into the post. Good defense from the backside. Alderton gets it free. David Douglas trying to string together a takeaway in the points. 2 deficits of 14 points halfway through the second quarter. The lead is down to 11. Winner to the state tournament second round. 1 away from the final site tournament. Pivoting, drop step. And Drew Satterthwaite can't get it to go left side. Lincoln in transition. Type of game that the Cardinals want to play. Kick to Johnson for 3. Got it. 28-14. Lincoln answers. David Douglas has found a path up the far side. 3. Nobles, that one's off the mark. Bouncing rebound to Eikenberry. To Margolis up the far side. Feed it down low, and another foul. After the bucket goes in, Malachi Seeley Roberts gets it to fall. And David Douglas picks up its 4th team foul. Charge to Nobles. His 2nd personal. And Eikenberry, great minutes for the 6'10 senior. Comes out of the game, and back in is Heisler. As Lincoln has a chance to go up by 17. Malachi Seeley Roberts at the free throw line for Lincoln. Free throw's good. 17-point lead, 31-14 with 3:06 to play, and Lincoln gets the steal on the inbound. Inside, Malachi Seeley Roberts, right-handed hook shot, no good. Drew Satterthwaite feeds it forward. Austin cannot keep it in, and it's back to Lincoln, another turnover. There's been some opportunities up the floor for David Douglas trying to get full court passes, and a couple of times, including that last one, David Douglas turned it over. So Lincoln gets another possession. Cargbo back in for David Douglas, playing man-to-man defense. Feed it down low. Malachi Seeley Roberts out to Margolis for 3 off the back, no good. Weak side rebound, Drew Satterthwaite gets it away, up to Cargbo, stripped on the far side. Van has it back for Lincoln. To the rim against 2, he scores. Oh, nearly. Almost had it drop, but free throws coming up instead on the 5th Scots team foul. Foul charge to Drew Satterthwaite. Free throw is good. Satterthwaite's first personal foul. And first break for Malachi Seeley Roberts. Johnson and Moroni. Seeley Roberts down to rebound for Lincoln on the Van second attempt. Free throw's good, a 19-point lead. Timeout, David Douglas again. 33-14, and another big run for Lincoln toward the tail end of a quarter. 2:29 left in the second. 33-14, Lincoln on top. A couple of 14-point leads in the quarter. Just past the halfway mark. Lincoln went up 28-14 after David Douglas had trimmed it down to nearly 9. But since then, Lincoln has built the lead back up to 33-14, a game most 19-point lead over the last minute or so. Did the same thing in the opening quarter as Lincoln built a 10-point lead over a 5-minute stretch. Ended up outscoring David Douglas through that period of time, 13-3. Cleveland right now leading 25-12 over Lake Oswego. So Lincoln and Cleveland trying to meet one another in the second round. David Douglas trying to get a huge upset over the 4th-ranked team in the state. Lincoln is 21-4. David Douglas is 10-14. Approaching the 2-minute mark until halftime. Chadwick to Lincoln Satterthwaite. Now Austin out on top. Handoff exchanges across the top against man-to-man defense. Van had it popped free. David Douglas able to get it back, but traveling, trying to get some help. Chadwick turns it over. And even in the half court, Lincoln's pressure defense helping the Cardinals get extra possessions. As Johnson exits, back in is McCartan. PIL honorable mention. This Lincoln team has been tested over the course of the year as well. Had a handful of games against top 10 teams in the current rankings, let alone how that matchup looked when the teams played, whether it was in mid-January, early December. David Douglas had a takeaway and nearly turned it right back over and said head up to Cardbo. Down to Drew Satterthwaite underneath. Hook shot over Heisler is good. Played number 2 Barlow. Was on this floor too. That was part of the Martin Luther King event by the Portland Interscholastic League schools. Foul underneath. That one's charged to David Douglas, 6th-team foul. And Drew Satterthwaite picks up his 2nd personal foul. Cardbo comes out of the game. Inbound to the left side. Heisler streaking to the rim on the inbound, gets it to go. Full court pressure continues, a 19-point lead for the home team Cardinals. Out to Lincoln Satterthwaite. Now to the far side, Drew Satterthwaite drinks it in with the right hand. Kick out for 3, Alderton off the mark. Put back doesn't go. Nice rebound by Austin to get it across, and it does fall with 36 seconds to go. It looked like it was about to pop out. Pass down low on the floor. David Douglas almost got it away. Instead, Van is fouled, working up the left-hand side. That foul charge to David Douglas, 2nd on Austin, 7th team foul. With 28 seconds remaining in the opening half, 35-18 Lincoln. Started to distance itself from David Douglas late in the first quarter and has rode that momentum with little resistance so far through the second quarter. But David Douglas has used timeouts wisely. Been able to regroup a couple of times in this quarter. As out of the game goes Moroni Seeley Roberts. Free throw by Van is no good. Heisler's played well. Malachi Seeley Roberts back in for Lincoln. Top of the key. Kick left, 3 on the way, left wing, it's good. Drew Satterthwaite makes it 36-21. David Douglas cuts it down to 15. Drop down, high-low feed, and Malachi Seeley Roberts is fouled. And a sandwich of David Douglas defenders. 8th team foul. I believe it was on Lincoln Satterthwaite. To the free throw line goes Malachi Seeley Roberts. A win against Barlow, as I mentioned on this floor when the two teams met, Lincoln and Barlow. Barlow's now number 2 in the state, and Lincoln won 71-60. Also beat number 6 Beaverton. That's the currently 6th-ranked Beavers back in early December, 74-63. And then against the current number 3 team in the state, Tualatin, Lincoln lost 90-89 on the road. Pass up the floor, contested at half court, thrown to the back court. Picked up by David Douglas, 3. Alderton with about a second left, no good. And Lincoln has a lead of 17 going into the locker room. A trip to the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship, second round on the line. And Lincoln, the 4th-ranked team in the state, in control by 17 from Lincoln High School. Lincoln Cardinals 38, David Douglas Scots 21 on Oregon Sports Beat.
Start of the second half, winner to the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship second round. Lincoln 38, David Douglas 21. Cardinals lead the Scots by 17. Ryan Goff along with our Oregon Sports Beat crew getting set for the second half to begin. Lincoln has possession, going to the right side this time, and pass inside from Blake Johnson to Malachi Sealy. Roberts is stolen away. Good start for the road team. David Douglas in gray, kick to the top, three. Micah Chadwick missed it, offensive rebound. Carlins Austin gets it to go. 38-24. David Douglas gets the first shot to fall on their side. Pass to the near side, Johnson. Good ball movement, triangular passing down low and underneath. Moroni, Sealy Roberts fouled. Foul charge to David Douglas, first of the half. And to the free throw line goes Moroni, Sealy Roberts, Portland Interscholastic League Player of the Year. Helped Lincoln to a 17-point lead at halftime. Mentioned we're keeping an eye on the other game going on. Cleveland hosting Lake Oswego. Winner of this game meets the winner of that game. If Lincoln wins, they get the game on their home floor. This team is 21-4 this year and 15-1 in PIL play. Only loss was to Cleveland. That game was played on this floor, 62-58, just 3 games ago for Lincoln. Can Cleveland do it twice if both the top seeds win? 1 minute in the third quarter, though, David Douglas goes back to work. 12 first half points by Drew Satterthwaite. Instead, Austin taking another try from the top, hit the first three-pointer to lead David Douglas out of the break. Pass down low, Graham Eikenberry spins into the lane and is fouled. Second foul on David Douglas, and that one's whistled on Chadwick. That's Chadwick's second personal foul, sends Eikenberry to the free throw line. Had 6 in the first. Malachi Sealy Roberts had 10. Moroni Sealy Roberts had 12 to lead the way for Lincoln in the opening 16 minutes. Back in is Emmanuel Cardbo, 6-foot senior, replacing D'Amico Nobles, who was in the game. 6'2 senior started, had a three-pointer for David Douglas. Back to the free throw line, 6'10 senior Eikenberry misses that one. And immediately Lincoln on the pressure yet again. Moroni Sealy Roberts tips it out of bounds. It's a 2-1. Actually, they keep someone else up at the front now that the ball got tipped on the baseline, but right out of the missed free throw, had 2 people down low. Full length to Cardbo, out of bounds. That full court pass hasn't worked well for David Douglas. At least the third turnover on something going from backcourt to front court on the fly, and Lincoln has it back. Man-to-man defense still from David Douglas. Scott's talked about the game plan was to try to prevent outside shooting from getting to them, but also limiting turnovers. And the former's been pretty good. Outside shooting, there hasn't been a ton of threes from Lincoln. Entry pass batted away. Johnson tracks it down. Now to the near side. Inside feed, Jimmy McCartan. Down to Moroni Sealy Roberts. A foul is called, and already David Douglas has 3 fouls in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter. That one's charged to Drew Satterthwaite, his third. But turnovers were the other part of that game plan for Chad Reeves and the Scots, and so far turnovers been pretty frequent, especially as the game churned the corner in the middle part of that second quarter, maybe the early, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes into that second quarter. You could see the turnover starting to accumulate, and Lincoln starting to take advantage as the Cardinals built a 17-point halftime lead. 4th foul on David Douglas now. Sends Moroni Sealy Roberts to the free throw line. Lincoln was 6 of 7 from the stripe in the opening half. I believe that last foul was charged to Chadwick, likely his third. Free throw, no good though. But this is the thing, I mean, Moroni Sealy Roberts was talking to the
The reporters Austin White of the Portland Tribune was there for that December matchup with now number 6 Beaverton. Lincoln won that game by 11. And Moroni says, we're talking about the state tournament every single day. A lot of times you have a team that knows it's potentially going places like Lincoln's capable of at 21-4 on the year. First foul on Lincoln. That one's charged to the Cardinals, team first. Might have been on Moroni Seeley Roberts, which is his third. You have some teams that are destined to possibly make the final site tournament. Lincoln seems to be one of those teams picked to win the PIL, ended up doing so as the PIL champs. And a lot of times you might choose to not talk so much about the state tournament, live in the moment. They've taken the opposite approach. We choose to get better every day at practice. He told Austin at the time, going hard, not taking any days for granted, but still chatting about the tournament every single time. This is a team that missed the state tournament by 10 points last year. Austin, another three-pointer for David Douglas. And the Scots getting some shots from the outside. Austin didn't have one in the first, gets 2 to drop in the second so far. It's 41-27. And down on the right block of foul as 2 players hit the floor. Moroni Seeley Roberts for Lincoln, along with David Alderton for David Douglas. The latter picks up the foul. That's the 5th team foul on David Douglas, and still 5 minutes to play in the third. Last year, Lincoln lost to Cleveland 63-53 in the second round. That game played at Cleveland, so while a potential rematch between the two teams, it would be played on Lincoln's floor as opposed to at Cleveland. Trying to add to a 41-27 lead. Eikenberry down low. Right now, Cleveland has the lead over Lake Oswego. The Warriors have led that game vast majority, if not the entire time. Under 3 to play in the third, 36-25 the score at Cleveland High School. Here, 43-27. Lincoln up with 4:35 to play in the third. Second round game on Saturday. State tournament for the boys side starts on Thursday, day 2 of the 4-day tournament. Austin wants a third. That's off to the right, no good. And rebound brought down by Moroni Seeley Roberts. Passes to his brother Malachi. 2 average over 20 points per game. And both first team all-league selections. Moroni winning the player of the year nod. Foul in the paint. That one's charged to Drew Satterthwaite. 6th team foul. And Drew may have 4 personal. 2 changes. Omar Kasim comes back in. And Lincoln Satterthwaite comes in as well. 1 last change. Vitali Sergachuk comes in. Sergachuk, 6'3" junior, replaces Drew Satterthwaite. So Coach Reeves brings out his leading scorer from the first half with 4 minutes to play in the third. And Malachi Seeley Roberts gets a pull-up to fall. Makes it 45-27. Largest lead of the game has been 19. Lincoln flirting with it again. Austin left to Cargabo. Now back out on top. Driving in. Kasim tried to kick it to the wing. Chase for the ball. And it's out of bounds off of David Douglas. A front court turnover. 3 new faces for Lincoln. Isaac Margolis back in, 5'11" junior. Played the point really well off the bench for Lincoln in the first half. And then Evan Heisler had a great drive. Gary Cut, should say, down the left side of the lane. Scored it on an inbound at 6'10", a junior. Just another player that's over 6'8" for Lincoln. They have such tremendous height. One of the tallest teams in the state. 3:30 to go, third quarter. Lincoln's been in control the entire way. Here's a jumper. Heisler swishes it through just beyond the arc. Step in, couple of footprints, and put it through. And it's a 20-point lead, largest lead of the game for Lincoln, 47-27, with 3:17 remaining. Chadwick returns, replacing Kasim. Imagine having 6'8" and 6'6" and your leading scorers in the lineup to start. 6'10" Graham Eikenberry, who's come off the bench before. He gets the start tonight, and seemingly started the second half of the season, certainly. And then you also still have a junior at 6'10", Heisler, coming off the bench. Good passing. Rapid fire on the far side, under 3 to play in the third. Lincoln up by a game most 20. And another foul charged to David Douglas. That's the 7th. It's the personal foul on Freddie Elliott, the 6'3" junior, back in. He picks up his first, but 1-and-1 free throws for Lincoln. With 2:53 to play in the third quarter. The only tie that we've had since it was 0-0 was 2-2. 5:17 remaining in the first quarter. This game started out slowly. Lincoln couldn't get anything to drop early. David Douglas didn't have much success offensively, but were able to maintain possessions. The turnovers did not start right off the bat. And then Lincoln just found a spark, and now the Cardinals, with 2:53 remaining in the third quarter, up 49-27. Jump pass down to the left baseline. Sergachuk can't get it across. Batted out by Lincoln. Back in is Johnson, replacing Margulis. But we've talked about the family connections. Heather Seeley-Roberts, the PIL Coach of the Year for Lincoln, has sons Moroni, Malachi out on the floor. But you have a pretty good family affair too for David Douglas. 3 from the right side, off the mark for Lincoln Satterthwaite. One of the brothers with Drew Satterthwaite. Their father, Tyler, assistant coach. 3 from the left side, Malachi Seeley-Roberts, no good. Tip to Heisler, give credit to Johnson tipping that across. Lead grows to 24 points, 51-27. Even Micah Chadwick is the cousin of the Satterthwaites. So you have a whole bunch of folks who know each other. Reeves has been with David Douglas for 28 years, 19th year as the head coach. Tyler's been there for about 25 years. Austin wants a third 3. That's a little bit flat. Even bringing back a player who played for Reeves just about a decade and a half ago, and Tyler Mays, who's the freshman coach. Remember, it's his team being one of the tougher teams that 2010 year when he graduated, as Heisler puts through a hook shot and Lincoln goes up 53-27. Mays is back now as the freshman coach, but you just have a lot of history. David Douglas, the lineage, if you will, over a couple of decades plus. And now trying to tackle this huge task of beating the 4th-ranked team in the state. And Lincoln has been able, especially in the final halves of each quarter, to find a way to extend the lead. There's a foul on Van. That's the second team foul on Lincoln, his first. Bunch of changes both sides. No matter how slowly a quarter started, and certainly the first was the slowest, Lincoln's found a way to do exactly what they had hoped to do and build a 53-27 lead. David Douglas uses its 3rd timeout with 1:20 left in the third. Use their final 60-second timeout, have 2 30-second timeouts remaining. But Lincoln had won 9 in a row. They've won 11 of their last 12. We mentioned that Cleveland loss. And the lowest amount of points they've held a team to this year is 31. Likely David Douglas on pace to get past that mark. But Lincoln's continued just to being able to pile up points, especially when Johnson gets hot from outside. But Carton's taken a couple of tries, had 11 points in that win against number 6 now Beaverton. But the approach for Lincoln has just certainly been, everyone is coming after us every single game, so we got to bring it every night. And even after a slow start tonight, Lincoln is in control, 53-27, with 1:20 remaining in the third. David Douglas has Chadwick back out on the floor near side with Alderton. Nobles is out there again. Moroni Seeley-Roberts picks up his 4th foul potentially. And Van is back in. Three team fouls for Lincoln, 7 for David Douglas. Off a screen, Alderton to the rim, blocked by Heisler. David Douglas keeps it. Nobles for three. Got it. The three ball's been working. All of the points for David Douglas on 3 threes in the quarter. Answer three from Van off the mark. Final 50 seconds. David Douglas gets it across. To the corner three, Lincoln Satterthwaite. Missed it. On the rebound, a foul charged against David Douglas, and that one's charged to Alderton, his third teammate. Cleveland's lead is down to 6 against Lake Oswego in the 13-20 matchup. 32 teams make the field. West Lynn is the #1 ranked team in the state, taking on Century. That game started 30 minutes prior to our tip-off tonight. Margulis to the free throw line for Lincoln. Makes the first. Lead was 17 points coming into the quarter, and Lincoln has built it up to 24 with 40 seconds remaining in the third. Only other teams higher than Lincoln in the rankings: #2 Barlow, a team that Lincoln has beat this year, playing Sunset tonight. And then Tualatin is hosting Roosevelt. Tualatin beat Lincoln 90-89 back in the middle part of January. Fortuitous timing to have the opening round of the OSAA playoffs happen on March 1st. March seemingly synonymous with basketball. As a foul on a three-point try on the near side, Lincoln Satterthwaite put it up and now heads to the free throw line to shoot three. David Douglas was 2 of 4 from the stripe in the first half. First free throw is good. Second one off the front, no good. It was really entertaining at halftime too. The Birdside Ballers were out on trampolines dunking the basketball. The entertainment for the crowd at halftime at this beautiful new building. It's the first year this building has hosted athletic events for Lincoln High School. Here's a kick to the corner. Three, well off the mark by Johnson. Even brought some fans in to jump over them, not for dunks, but just for regular tumbling, if you can call such aerials something as simplistic as regular jumping. Foul charge to Margulis, that's his first, and the 5th team foul on Lincoln with 9 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Drew Satterthwaite comes back in with 4 personal fouls. David Douglas trying to get a bucket to end the third quarter. Drew Satterthwaite does just that. 4 seconds left, half court with 3. Corner, Johnson sidestep blocked with 1 second left to shoot. Lincoln Satterthwaite gets the defensive stop, but Lincoln adds to its lead, moving to the 4th quarter. 1 quarter away from advancing in the state playoffs. End of the third from Lincoln High School in Portland, Oregon. Lincoln Cardinals 55, David Douglas Scots 34 on Oregon Sports Beat. Lincoln trying to secure a 2nd straight trip to the 2nd round of the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship Tournament, leading 55-34 over David Douglas. David Douglas 10-14 this year, 3-11 out of the Mount Hood Conference. It's been a great conference this year. David Douglas making the field of 32 as the 7th finisher in the Mount Hood Conference. 3 on the far side over the top by Nobles. And David Douglas empty on the first trip down. 4th quarter just underway. Both teams started slowly. 3 minutes in, it was tied 2-2, and then Lincoln went on a pretty good run. Scored 13 of the next 16 points. Built a lead of 15-5. Good pressure out on the wing, and it turns out a turnover for David Douglas. Nobles took it away, and Drew Satterthwaite, the senior, fouled working up the left side. Lincoln picks up its 6th team foul. That whole thing started with Lincoln Satterthwaite playing great defense on the wing. Nobles, a hustle play, picked it up and got it ahead. Free throw is no good though. And Cardbo set to check back in for David Douglas. Second free throw is good. Also back in is Austin. 2 3-pointers for David Douglas in the 3rd quarter. Out is Chadwick and Drew Satterthwaite. Malachi Sealy-Roberts, Moroni Sealy-Roberts back on the floor for Lincoln. Margulis off a screen from Eikenberry, far side. Gave it up to McCartan. Original starting 5 on the floor right now for Lincoln. Up 55-35. Down low, Moroni Sealy-Roberts had it edge out, no good. Back up the floor, far side. Ball movement to the left side, open 3. Austin is good. Austin successful in the second half from deep. 55-38. Lincoln with the ball and the lead. Moroni Sealy-Roberts fouled on a drop step toward the right baseline. Foul number 9 on David Douglas. Nobles picks up the foul, his 3rd. Free throw is good. But ball movement and start to finish speed, Lincoln's MO. Free throw is good. Van comes in, Eikenberry checks out. Whether it's off of the full court pressure or in transition. And not having seen Lincoln play but once this year coming into tonight, I had that impression when you have a tall team, your brain, my brain certainly, immediately thinks the inside game. As Austin misses a 3, feet ahead for Lincoln. Set it up, go down low. The high-low didn't surprise me. That certainly was advertised as a big piece to Lincoln's game. Malachi Sealy-Roberts, no good. Austin in transition. Top of the key for David Douglas. Down 57-38 with 6 minutes to play. And a nice juggling drive for Alderton. Gets a bucket to go for David Douglas. Lead down to 17 for Lincoln. Inside passing. Malachi Sealy-Roberts couldn't get it cleanly. Ball on the far side now. Van feeds it down low. And Moroni Sealy-Roberts fouled. It's a 10th foul on David Douglas. And charged to Cardbo, his 1st. But no, you get to see exactly what Lincoln wants to do, and that's immediate transition off anything, whether it's a made basket by their opponent, get a steal. And the speed is there. And that certainly makes sense. The classic big man offense has certainly given way to opportunities to shoot from the outside, certainly run the floor. And Malachi Sealy-Roberts, Graham Eikenberry out of the starting lineup for Lincoln, doing just that, combined for 16 points in the first half. Lincoln built a lead of 17, that lead now 19. It's been over 20 so far, and trapped Chadwick concedes a timeout for David Douglas. The Scots have 1 timeout remaining with 5:37 left, 4th quarter. Lincoln 59, David Douglas 40. 3 minutes to play at Cleveland High School. Cleveland leads 56-42. winner of the Cleveland Lake Oswego game meets the winner of this contest. If Lincoln wins, the Cardinals host. That game scheduled for Saturday. And then the other part of that same bracket, the teams that would eventually meet in the state quarterfinals at the OSAA 6A Basketball State Championship Final Site Tournament, Sprague and Gresham and Benson and Southridge playing tonight as well. The Lincolns controlled this game throughout the course. A couple of updates worth passing along. Number 30 Roosevelt has a 32-17 lead over Tualatin right now at halftime. Here's a three far corner. That's a bit shallow. Rebound tip. Malachi Seeley Roberts ahead to Van. Right layup on the left side is good. Pressure continues. Here's a three from Austin over Malachi Seeley Roberts. No good. Chased it down. Another try from the far side. That one's too strong. Two players collide for Lincoln. Cardbo puts up a shot off the mark, and Lincoln controls with 5 minutes left to play. Barlow did win its first matchup against Sunset, 89-56. It's the number 2 team in the state is advanced. Lincoln, the ball in front court. End of the third, Southridge a 40-38 lead over Benson. Southridge over Benson from the PIL by 2 after 3. Right side, skip it to the far side. Van. Nice run out by Austin. Long possession for the Cardinals with a 21-point lead. Bobbled, able to chase it down. McCartan keeps it alive for Lincoln. Malachi Seeley Roberts. Austin gets the last handle on it and then trips up the floor, keeps the ball alive. David Douglas, three. Nobles, no good. Lincoln feeds again. There's the transition. McCartan missed the lay-in. Good pass up from Margulis. 61-43 from Austin. David Douglas down by 21 and cannot get a three-pointer. Van in transition, fouled and scores. Past the midway point of the fourth quarter, Van makes it 63-40 for Lincoln and a chance to match the game most lead of 24. West Salem leading in its opening game of the tournament. The 11th ranked Titans over Oregon City, 68-42. Sherwood, a 52-41 lead over Grant. I'd like to see Sprague and Gresham score. To give you an idea of the rest of the B bracket that could meet at the state tournament. David Douglas gets the rebound. Elliott comes down with it off the miss, but Lincoln's lead is 23 points with 3:40 remaining. Number 4th ranked Cardinals trying to go 22-4 on the year. Chadwick misses for David Douglas, up the floor to Van. Malachi Seeley Roberts can start the break as well. Van, wide open three, got it! Largest lead of the game is 26 for Lincoln. 66-40 with 3:15 remaining. Foul in backcourt against Van. We've had a Lincoln boys basketball program that made 4 championship appearances in the school's first 20 years. Well, not the school's first 20 years. When official state championships began, Lincoln won the first one back in 1919, and from 1919 to 39, Lincoln was in the title game 4 different times, including that first state championship. Won the A championship in 1952, won the A1 championship in 1957. But the last title appearance for Lincoln, and the only one since the 50s at the actual state championship game appearance, was 2009. They lost 63-41 to Jesuit. Free throws good, 66-42, Lincoln on top. That's what we talked to with David Douglas assistant Tyler Mays before the game. Said they had a lead on Westview in the playoffs his senior year, 2010. That was a team that only had 3 losses that year. Eventually made the state title game, said Tyler. But ended up losing to Jesuit, team that had Kyle Wilcher, I believe eventually went to Kentucky. And so a team that was certainly part of that 09 title run for Jesuit. Here's a drive right side, stripped. Malachi Seeley-Roberts, more defense. The first team all-leaguer had it popped free from behind. Feed ahead to Lincoln Satterthwaite. And Johnson fouls with 2:27 to go in the fourth quarter. 66-42. David Douglas still trails by 24 points with 2:27 left in the fourth. Gresham ranked 5th, one of those 4 teams out of the Mount Hood Conference that are top 10 in the OSAA rankings. So Mount Hood Conference, the only league in all of OSAA 6A boys basketball that has that many teams in the top 10. Barlow number 2, as we mentioned. And along with Gresham at number 5, you have Central Catholic number 9 and Clackamas number 10. And David Douglas really got that spark, having beaten Central Catholic 69-64 3 games ago. It really helped snap a long losing streak. They had lost 5 in a row prior to that. Coming into this game, had won 2 of the last 3 after beating Reynolds on the road, and then lost 79-44 to Barlow. There's a 3 from Johnson for Lincoln. It's good. Approaching the 2-minute mark left in the fourth quarter. Lincoln beat Barlow 71-60. Start looking at common opponents. Jumper no good for David Douglas. Alderton misses. But it really boils down to Child Center. Lincoln has been talking about the state tournament the entire year. And taking care of business tonight in front of a very good crowd at Lincoln High School. 3 sections of bleachers across, full by probably 75–80%. You have the pep band in the house. It was really cool too, because before the game started, basketball players for Lincoln went up and gave a token of appreciation to the senior band members. That was pretty neat to see right before the game started. 3 from the far side, David Douglas. Chadwick has it a bit short. Johnson has played well getting the boards. One arm ahead to Van, and the layup is good. Malachi Seeley-Roberts, a strike with 1:20 left. And Lincoln's outscored David Douglas in the final period so far by a total of 16-9. Hook shot right side. Drew Satterthwaite. No good. One more time. Up to Van again. This time the layup's no good. The Moroni, Seeley-Roberts has the rebound, and there's an injured David Douglas player in backcourt while the play goes forward. Austin lost the handle. The athletic training staff out with 57 seconds left. A collision. Tangled feet potentially on the rebound. And it appears that Alderton is okay. So the PIL Coach of the Year, first woman to win such a distinction, Heather Seeley-Roberts and the Lincoln Cardinals on their way to the second round. Certainly don't know exactly how any Coach of the Year honors are given out, but Lincoln at 21-4, certainly you'd suspect Seeley-Roberts considered for such an award. And how sweet would it be for Heather and the boys to have a chance to go from unofficial state champions at Yamhill Carleton to official top school state champions. Even before the game, too, on the bench of Lincoln, there was a Yamhill Carleton backpack that had, I thought, state champs, but certainly had the YNC logo on it, sitting on the bench. So certainly you can see appreciation for that 2020-21 unofficial state title, but a bigger task at hand for the Seeley Roberts group and all of Lincoln. Margulis, great hustle to keep the ball in Lincoln's possession. First time in the game for Lincoln. Noah Santamaria is in, the 5'10 senior. We also have Jackson Bisbee out there for Lincoln. Quinn Owen on the floor as well. And Lincoln picks up a 76-47 victory at home in the opening rounds. Lincoln advances, and it looks like Cleveland's held on. Expect that to be the next opponent for Lincoln in the OSAA state playoffs. From Lincoln High School in Portland, Oregon, the OSAA 6A Boys Basketball State Championship opening round. Lincoln Cardinals 76 and David Douglas Scots 47. It's Cleveland and Lincoln on Saturday in the second round. For everyone who made it possible, big thanks to our Oregon Sports Beat crew. I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks for having fun with us tonight. Lincoln advances. We'll see you for our next contest. Until then, goodbye everybody from Portland.